Introduction. The starting line. Molly, 17, is direct when asked about her biggest daily challenge. Life, she says. Why? Because the world isn't made for people like me. Molly is autistic and was diagnosed at the age of 15, more than a decade after her parents noticed milestone differences between their toddler daughter and her siblings. Until her mental health fell off a cliff, Molly's mother says, outside of the house she didn't often look like someone who needed help. That made it difficult for Molly and her family to access or even to know how to ask for help. Molly's teachers and peers assumed that because she was passing her subjects and seemed to fit in, she was managing as well as any other teenager. But every day trying to do what others took for granted became what her mother termed an invisible struggle. She masks so well that people can forget she is autistic, so when she slips up, she's treated as if she is making excuses. The way she experiences life is invalidated daily at school. Molly isn't alone. The teachers we spoke to during our research for this book said that between 10 and 40% of their classes were often made up of neurodivergent (ND) students. While their ages may differ, with some just toddlers while others are driving, dating, studying or working, these people share a bond. Their neurodivergence makes them different in a world that values those who are neurotypical, NT. Autistic children and adults have a different brain to NT people, and one byproduct of that is that they don't always intuitively understand other people's emotions. That means reading facial expressions and body language, or perceiving what someone might be thinking, can be challenging. There are other differences too. Some autistic people find change difficult and can experience sensory overload. But like all of us, every autistic person is unique. If you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism, is a quote made famous by autistic professor Dr. Stephen Shaw, who works to improve the potential of those on the autism spectrum. When I think of how hard my days are advocating for my kids, I need to remind myself how hard it is for them in a world that doesn't accept them. They are the ones trying to change things for future generations, and it's so difficult. Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, ADHD, is another condition that sits under the ND umbrella. It can show up as inattention in young children, who may also be easily distracted and impulsive. Underdiagnosed in girls, an ADHD diagnosis is more common than autism, with estimates of 1 in 20 Australians believed to have ADHD. There are many other conditions that fall under an ND label. Dyslexia is a condition that involves people experiencing difficulties in writing and spelling. Dyspraxia involves challenges around motor skills. Dyscalculia involves challenges with numbers. Tourette syndrome causes involuntary physical and vocal tics, while people with oppositional defiant disorder, ODD, present with symptoms of anger and irritability, such as persistent arguing. Disappointingly, autism and ADHD both include the word disorder in their title. However, expert advice within the ND community asserts that while neurodivergence may be a disability in many cases, it is not a disorder, a point made clear by the fact that ND people range from intellectually impaired, non-speaking, socially challenged, through to intellectually gifted. Our research confirmed this to be true. While we heard many stories full of heartache, there were also many stories of courage, connection, triumph, and joy. I'm lonely because my brain is different to everyone else, and I think differently. Like the discrimination meted out to groups based on ethnicity or gender, ND children are too often left stage side, waiting for their place in the limelight, a place they have to fight much harder to win. That fight starts before diagnosis and can last a lifetime. Sometimes it's due to the challenges their condition brings, but often it is because of the battles they face in accessing funding, education and employment, and finding friendships. Often they are judged harshly by peers and the parents of peers who lack an understanding of ND behaviours.